Welcome to Cory's Stories. Are you ready to meditate with Cory? Hi friends, make sure that you subscribe and you like this video, and also press the bell because the bell will let you know when a new video comes out. If you love Heidi, Cherry and Vaya, make sure that you go to the link below and you join the Patreon group. Then you'll be part of the Cat Club and you'll get 3 exclusive stories every month for just $7 a month. I hope you enjoy the meditation. I love you. Bye. Are you ready to meditate with Cory? Are you ready to be as quiet and as still as you possibly can in your bed? Like as quiet as a mouse and as still as a statue? Can you do that? Listen to the story and try and let your body, your muscles, your bones completely relax into your bed. Heidi, Cherry and Vaya were over at Anika and Leila's house. Anika and Leila were moving house. They were going back to Arizona. They'd been living in upstate New York. The cats were talking about whether the girls were excited to be moving, whether they were scared, whether they were upset, whether they were really, really happy. All of the different emotions that you could possibly have if you're moving from one state to another, which is a pretty big deal. Anika and Leila were sat on their bed with the cats, talking about all of it. Vaya said, "Are you excited to be going back to Arizona though? Because, that must be really nice. It's very different from upstate New York, and I'm sure there's lots of different people there to meet and different things to do. And maybe old friends that you can reconnect to. You never know." The girls nodded. Leila said, "Yeah, that's right. You never know." And Anika said, "Well, we'll see." Cherry said, "I'm not sure how I'd feel, I'm not sure how I'd feel about the whole thing at all. I think, there's something really difficult about moving. They say that moving house is very stressful. And you girls know, right, because you've done it before. But they say, right, that moving house is kind of like uplifting your roots. Like if you were a tree, right, and you were a tree and you were really grounded into the ground and your roots were down deep and they were so down into the ground, like they had dug some serious depth into that soil. You know what I mean? Like when you've been somewhere a long time and you've got all dusty and you've got all like used to where you are, you know where you are, you know where everything is, you know the people, you know the weather, you know the places, you know the stores, just like a tree would. Well, not really, but you know what I mean. Like a tree, right? And you stood there and you're a tree, and then all of a sudden someone comes along and says, "Hey, you, tree. Actually, let's make it more realistic. Hey, you, Anika, you tree. Hey, you, Leila, you tree. Come with me. We've got some adventures to go on." And you're like, "But I can't, because my roots are stuck in the ground." And I'd be like me. Be like a bird and fly through the sky and travel all over the world. Who wants to be boring and stuck in one place? And you'd be like, "Me, because I'm a tree and I like being in one place." And I'd be like, "No, be a bird. A bird is so much more adventurous." And you'd be like, "No, bird, you need to settle down." Come and sit in my tree for a while and you'll know what I mean. It's lovely being in one place. You get to stay there, you get to adjust, you get to it's like being sat in an old rocking chair. You just know exactly what you've got, don't you? You're comfortable. And then a bird comes along, that's Cherry, comes along and says, no, don't be boring. That's Anika and that's Leila, because you're boring, because you don't want to go. Well, maybe you do, but maybe you don't. Who knows? Anyway, listen. So then you're like, but I'm a tree. And my main job is to be stable and strong and supported and to be rooted into the ground. And my main job as a bird is to fly and to be free and to be mobile and to see different things all the time. Just two very different things, aren't they? You know what I would do if I were you girls? If I were you, right, when you get back to Arizona, I would plant a tree. I would plant a tree, right, when my dad, I'd say, Dad, hey you, Joshy, come on, you need to help us plant this tree because you're big and muscly. And I'd say, Daddy, right, look, we want a tree right here that represents our new way, our new home. And as that tree grows and it roots into the ground, we grow and we adjust and we root into Arizona. How about that then, eh? How about that? That's pretty darn awesome. Cherry, you're so smart. Heidi, don't you think that that's a really good idea? Heidi said, I actually do, Cherry. I think that's a really smart idea. Because, whenever you go anywhere different, we've been and moved to places different times, and sometimes it's a bit weird at first. It's like your bedroom feels weird because it's not quite your bedroom. And the place that you live feels weird because it's not quite what you're used to. But then, what's really cool is you adjust. You get to have new experiences and you meet new friends, which is really cool. We have always met so many new friends every time we move. Vaya said, oh yes, that's like one of my favorite parts because I think it's really cool, right, that different people in different states of America or like in different countries all over the world, even though we're all the same, sometimes we act a little bit different because of where we're from, or different cultures or different nationalities. So it's so cool to move to a new place and then adjust to the people around you and the way that they live, and it's just my favourite part. Cherry said, well, Vaya, that is a really good point, but I don't think I would like that so much. I think I were pretty darn miserable. I think inside of me is a bird, right, just waiting to fly out, to expand its wings. But most of the time I'm like a tree. And I do like to be settled. I like to be comfortable. I like to know that it takes 10 minutes to get to the store. And just like that, where you are, you can just go to the store, go to the supermarket and get your food. Heidi said, yeah, but every new place has a supermarket. That's not difficult, Cherry. I know, but you know what? You know what's really interesting, right? What I noticed the last time we moved house was that everything in the supermarket, even though it was the same brand of supermarket, like the same type, you know what I mean? Like they have chains and all over the place you can get like a Vons or a Ralph's or a Morrison's or whatever they are, depending on where you are in the world. Right, like that. But they put things in different places. I was absolutely gypped. I remember, right, when I went in a store that we had, right, where we were living, and then we moved, and then they had that same store, and I was like, oh, cool, okie dokie. This is amazing. This is great. We've got the same store. This is not too bad. I feel like I could actually adjust. Everything is better because we've got the same store, right? Then we went inside with Mum and Dad. Do you remember that first time we went inside that store, that supermarket? Everything was different. How very dare they? Everything was different. It was in a different place. The aisles weren't the same. And I was like, hey, wait a minute, aisle 3 is bread. Aisle 3 in this place was coffee and tea. And I was like, I don't want coffee and tea. I want bread. Where's aisle 3? I was appalled. Absolutely appalled. The girls and the cats, Heidi and Vaya, started laughing because Cherry was being very dramatic. I mean, to get upset about aisle 3 not being bread, aisle 3 would actually be coffee, maybe in some other place in the world, was a bit silly, wasn't it? Because it really doesn't take very long to figure out that now aisle 5 is bread. So Cherry was just trying to prove a point. She was being very dramatic, but the girls got what she meant. Anika and Leila were a bit of both. Sometimes they were excited, and then sometimes they were sad. And that's pretty normal because you're going to have both feelings when you're doing something that's such a big change. Moving house is such a big change. But change is good. Change is what keeps life interesting. Change is what makes us have new experiences. Change allows us to get really good at new things that maybe we would have never done before. So it's nice to be a tree and to be rooted into the ground in the same place all the time because you feel safe and secure and you know where you are. But the chances of that tree learning new things, having new experiences, seeing new places, like a bird would, are very, very slim. Unless it's a mobile tree that somehow has roller skates on its roots and can zoom around from different place to different place. Which is probably not going to happen, is it? But you never know. Maybe that's a future story. But for now, the girls and the cats were enjoying their time together in the bedroom. They were laughing a lot at Cherry because she is very funny. And Heidi had so much wisdom to share. Heidi said, "Do you know what? One thing that I noticed the last time we moved house that was really helpful was to focus on our bedroom first. Didn't we, cats?" Cherry and Vaya both nodded. Vaya said, "Oh yes, that was so important, because that made us feel like we had our home inside of our new strange home. We made sure that our bedroom was so perfect. It had everything where we wanted it. Yes, it looked different, but it was our room. And when we went in there, it always felt like we were more settled." "Exactly," said Heidi. "I would definitely do that, girls. Make sure that your room is done first. Make sure that you tell Dad to paint your room first or decorate your room first, because it's super important that you guys feel settled and comfortable and safe, and that way the move won't feel so hard." Both Anika and Leila said that that was a really good idea, and they were going to tell their dad exactly just that. The kids and the cats had dinner together that night, and then they had dessert. They had lollipops for afterwards. Ice lollipops. They were blueberry flavour. They were ridiculously good. And then, eventually, the cats went home. When they got home, they brushed their teeth, showered, jumped into their big, soft, comfortable cat bed, and talked about being a tree or a bird. "Which one would you be?" said Cherry to Vaya. Vaya said, "I like the bird." Heidi said, "Well, actually, if I'm honest, I think I'd rather be a tree." Cherry said. Me and you, Vaya, me and you. We'll be birds and we'll fly all over the world. And then we'll come back all the time to visit Heidi, who's a big giant oak tree. And by then she'll be kind of like old and grey. Can you be grey when you're a tree? Heidi said, I don't think so, but you can definitely be an older tree. You just grow bigger and stronger and taller. I'll be super big and super strong and super tall. Cherry said, You know, I think I've changed my mind. I think I want to be a tree too. They laughed and talked for a while longer. And then, eventually, they all fell to sleep. They had really nice dreams. Cherry was in a forest. Heidi was flying over a mountain, seeing what it was like to be a bird. And Vaya ended up dreaming she was a penguin. Unfortunately, she wasn't flying anywhere. But she did like being a penguin. She was hobbling all around. She thought she looked super cute. The end.